Ancient Olympic athletes weren't exactly saints. They bribed judges, cursed opponents, and sometimes straight up strangled their competition. From chariot racing emperors to marathon cheating carriage riders, these are the wildest scandals that rocked the ancient games. Let me tell you about the ultimate spoiled rich kid of ancient Rome, Emperor Nero. This guy took Olympic cheating to a whole new level. In 67 CE, he entered a chariot race at the Olympics, which was weird enough since emperors didn't usually compete. But here's the kicker. He fell off his chariot, couldn't finish the race, and still got the gold crown. How? Simple. He bribed the judges and declared himself the winner anyway. And nobody dared to argue because, well, he was the emperor who had a habit of killing people who disagreed with him. The best part? He also competed in every other event that year and, surprise, surprise, won them all. Talk about buying your way to athletic glory. Let's talk about Clytomachos and Aristonikos, two ancient boxers who gave us history's most dramatic rage-quit moment. The year was 240 BCE, and these guys were fighting in the boxing finals. Aristonikos was winning, landing punch after punch, when Clytomachos just snapped. Instead of accepting defeat like a normal person, he wrapped his hands around Aristonikos' throat and started squeezing. The crowd went nuts. Judges were freaking out, and poor Aristonikos probably regretted showing up that day. Here's the crazy part. There wasn't even a rule against strangling back then. The judges eventually declared Aristonikos the winner, but only after they pried Clytomachos' fingers from his neck. Talk about taking going for the throat way too literally. Money talks, even in ancient Greece. In 388 BC, three athletes pulled off what I like to call the original cash for gold scandal. Eupelos of Thessaly thought he was super clever when he handed out bags of cash to his boxing opponents. The deal was simple: take the money, take the dive. But here's where it gets wild. Two other athletes, Agena of Arcadia and Prytanis of Kyzikos, saw this working and decided to jump on the bribe bandwagon too. They all got caught, and the Greeks were not happy. The judges made them pay for massive bronze statues of Zeus called Zanes, with inscriptions warning future athletes about cheating. These statues lined the path to the stadium, so every athlete had to walk past them and think twice about trying any funny business. Imagine being so infamous that they turn you into an ancient Greek anti-cheating PSA. Here's a story that'll make your local Little League scandals look tame. Back in ancient Greece, a wrestler named Nikasiskos pulled off the most absurd age-faking scheme in sports history. This fully grown man somehow convinced officials he was just a teenager so he could compete in the youth wrestling category. He showed up at the games with a fake birth certificate. Yeah, they had those. And probably the world's most unconvincing baby face. For a while, he dominated the youth competitions. I mean, obviously he was throwing actual kids around the wrestling ring. But his winning streak came to a hilarious end when his own son showed up to watch him compete in the youth division. Talk about an awkward parent-teacher conference moment. Let's talk about the laziest cheat in ancient Olympic history. During one of the most important races, this guy, whose name we sadly don't know, decided running was just too much work. About halfway through the marathon, when nobody was looking, he hopped onto a passing carriage. This genius plan seemed perfect until spectators started pointing out how suspiciously fresh he looked at the finish line. I mean, everyone else stumbled in looking like they'd fought a lion, while this dude showed up with perfect hair and barely breaking a sweat. The judges got suspicious when he couldn't describe parts of the race route, and eventually, he cracked under questioning. His punishment? A lifetime ban and the honor of being ancient Greece's first documented transportation doper. Let me tell you about the weirdest performance enhancement in ancient sports: actual magic. Greek athletes would visit professional curse specialists to hex their opponents before matches. They'd bury little lead tablets called curse tablets under the arena, scratched with spells like twist his ankles or make his arms weak. One boxer named Theagens got so paranoid about being cursed, he hired 3 different sorcerers as protection. During one infamous match in 338 BCE, Both fighters had cursed each other so much that when they both mysteriously collapsed in the first round, everyone blamed dark magic. The judges had to start checking the arena for buried tablets before matches. Basically, ancient Greece's first anti-doping program. Here's a family business story that went seriously wrong. Meet Demonikos and his son Polyktor, the ancient world's most dysfunctional wrestling tag team. These two had a brilliant scam going in the 376 BCE Olympics. Demonikos would enter wrestling matches against his son, and they'd take turns letting each other win. They split the prize money, fooled everyone for years, and even became local celebrities. But their perfect plan fell apart during one match when Polyktor accidentally knocked his dad out for real. The crowd went wild, thinking they were watching an epic father-son showdown, while poor Demonikos lay there wondering where he went wrong as a parent. The judges finally caught on, fined them both, and made them fund two massive shame statues. Now that's what I call tough love. The Spartans, you know, those super tough warriors everyone's obsessed with? Well, in 420 BCE, they pulled the biggest team cheat in Olympic history. They didn't just send a few crooked athletes, they sent their entire army, their master plan. Intimidate every other city-state into throwing their matches. They marched thousands of soldiers into Olympia, flexing their muscles and basically saying, "Nice Olympic dreams you've got there. Would be a shame if something happened to them." But the other Greeks weren't having it. The Olympic officials banned all of Sparta from competing and slapped them with a massive fine. Imagine getting your entire country kicked out of the Olympics because you couldn't play fair. Those famous Spartan warriors ended up looking more like schoolyard bullies. Here's the most bizarre Olympic scandal of them all, the guy who'd rather play dead than play sports. In 322 BCE, an athlete named Charmides took performance anxiety to a whole new level. He was supposed to compete in the pancration, think MMA but with fewer rules and more eye-gouging. The night before his match, he spread rumors about his tragic death, complete with fake funeral arrangements and paid mourners. He even got his family to start the grieving process, but his brilliant plan collapsed when someone spotted him stuffing his face at a tavern 2 towns over. The judges weren't amused. They fined him double the winner's prize and made him build a statue of Zeus with "Don't be a coward" carved on it. Let's talk about the ancient Greeks' favorite way to punish Olympic cheaters, by turning them into the world's first public shame campaign. When athletes got caught breaking the rules, they had to pay for these massive bronze statues called zanes. But these weren't fancy trophies. They were giant bronze middle fingers that stood right at the entrance to the Olympic Stadium. Each statue came with a personalized inscription that basically said, "Hey, look at this loser who tried to cheat." Athletes had to walk past these shame statues every time they entered the stadium. Imagine having your biggest mistake turned into a permanent tourist attraction. These bronze bad boys served as ancient Greece's version of a public wall of shame, reminding everyone that cheaters never prosper. They just end up as really expensive lawn ornaments. There you have it. Ancient Olympians were just as crafty as modern athletes, just with more bronze statues and angry gods. Hit that like button, subscribe for more historical shenanigans, and share this video with your sneakiest friend. See you next time.